On September 15, 2017, the 72-year-old astronomer and engineer Nan Rundong passed away. He was the chief scientist behind the 500-meter aperture spherical telescope located in Pingtang Mountain, Guizhou Province. 25 days later, China announced that the telescope had detected 2 pulsars for the first time. Nan Rundong had put 23 years of his life into the telescope. His efforts had finally paid off. Every great discovery takes effort and time, and all major progress requires innovation and accumulation of experience. Throughout the ages, innovation has been this nation's greatest gift. Badaling Great Wall, one of the biggest construction projects of ancient times. Every day, tens of thousands of tourists from around the world visit this wonder to see firsthand the great aspirations of the ancient Chinese. But below these tourists, under a solid granite layer, another great project of this era is underway. 102 meters underground, workers are digging out a 12-kilometer-long tunnel. Badaling Station, the largest and deepest underground high-speed rail station in the world, is being built. With an area equivalent in size to nearly 2 decks of the Liaoning aircraft carrier, this huge building will have 3 floors. By taking special large elevators never used before, tourists will be able to travel to the entrance of the Badaling Great Wall in a matter of minutes.
管子是在底下里面，从这个地方接一根过来嘛，这边接一根过来。这个地方为什么上面都焊一根干筋呢？哪来？这上面。
Nipai patrols the tunnel 5 times a day. Each patrol takes at least 1.5 hours, covering 20 kilometers in one day.
机械配合施工的时候，安全带一定要系好。这个地方的螺丝还要加紧一下了。
Finding problems is one of Nipai's responsibilities. He needs to stamp out the tiniest of flaws and guarantee the complete safety of the project. The construction site is like a maze of interlaced caverns.
它有8个分通道，88个洞，有77个断面，就是说洞群非常多，施工组织难度非常大。 前面看到的就是我们最大的大炮弹，宽度达到了32.7米，是目前国内高铁隧道里面的施工宽度最大的，难度也是最大的。
Due to the complex geological conditions and undulating terrain, the shaft of the main construction field in the tunnel is too small to hold the tunneling machine. This means the team have to use explosives. It's a tricky endeavor, as the distance between the Badaling Tunnel and the Great Wall above them is less than 100 meters. The entire project has over 2,000 blast points. For the first time ever, technical staff are using state-of-the-art digital electronic detonators and highly accurate blasting technology to control the blast's vibration velocity. This new technology restricts the blast's vibration velocity to within 2 millimeters per second, so every vibration caused by the blast only feels like a foot stamping on the Great Wall. The Beijing-Zhangjiakou Intercity Railway connects the 2 host cities of the 2022 Winter Olympics, Beijing and Zhangjiakou. During the 174-kilometer-long journey, the railway travels through high mountains and cold, windy areas, but needs to maintain a speed of 350 kilometers per hour. This presents a huge challenge, even for China's experienced high-speed rail engineers. This section of the Beijing-Zhangjiakou Intercity Railway has to pass underground. There is a small but very important station here, which must be preserved.
我们青龙桥车站，它左边、右边都是长城。它建于1908年，到现在已经有100多年历史了。现在可以看得到，它这个保存的还是非常的完好。我们的京张高铁将来将从我们车站正下方4米处穿过。
水平角10度59分2秒，垂直角88度51分46秒。
Right next to the Qinglongqiao station is a bronze statue of Zhan Tianyou, the chief designer of the Beijing-Zhangjiakou Railway. Through his persistence, it was the first trunk railway independently constructed by the Chinese people and is considered a marvel of engineering around the world. The Herringbone Railway near Qinglongqiao Station is Zhan Tianyou's most impressive design. It overcomes the height difference between Nankou and Badaling through the push and pull motion of 2 locomotives in tandem. For the builders of Chinese high-speed railways today, this kind of difficulty no longer exists. In this modern era, engineering marvels created by new technologies continue to break the boundaries of human imagination. The Winter Olympics is around the corner, and the Beijing-Zhangjiakou Intercity Railway continues to expand daily. "2,000 kilometers away, another groundbreaking project along the coast of the East China Sea has also entered a critical stage. On May 25, 2017, 1,000 people stood in eager anticipation in front of the number 5 generating unit of the Fuqing Nuclear Power Station, Fujian Province. A dome was about to be hoisted and installed at the first nuclear power project using Hualong 1 technology, a domestically developed third-generation reactor design. The Fuqing Nuclear Power Plant is the 9th nuclear power station in the Chinese mainland. 6 sets of 1 million kilowatt nuclear power generators will be completed over 5 years. They will provide 50 billion kilowatt hours of electricity annually. The fission from 1 kilogram of uranium-238 can generate 20,000 megawatt hours of energy. It's an astonishing amount, but the biggest concern is how to ensure people's safety. After nuclear accidents in the Soviet Union and Japan, the safety reputation of nuclear power plants fell to an all-time low worldwide. How should the Chinese people face the threat of nuclear leaks? Chen Guozai is in charge of the construction of the first Hualong 1 nuclear project. It's the 3rd nuclear power project he has taken part in.
这个地方注意啊，他们如果不行，你们就要停下来好了。原来那个偏差有7、8块板，后来怎么处理啊？不是超差吗？
经常可能2、3天我就得去一趟，就相当于这个是我的责任田，那我得确保我这个责任田安全可控。
Third-generation nuclear power technology is the most widely used in the global nuclear power market due to its safety and efficiency, but only a few countries have mastered it. In 2015, the first nuclear power project using Hualong 1 technology was launched. In just 1 year, 30,000 tons of rebars and 130,000 cubic meters of concrete were used. The thickness of the inner and outer containers of Hualong 1 reached 1.3 meters and 1.8 meters respectively, enough to withstand the impact of a large aircraft. Hualong 1's most impressive technological innovations are all below this dome.
琼林吊装它相当于属于我们核电工程建设从土建阶段转入安装阶段的一个转折点。
The hoisting must be conducted in wind speeds of less than 9.8 meters per second. The huge dome is 46.8 meters in diameter and weighs 340 tons and needs to be hoisted to a height of 20 stories.
福清核电5号机组穹顶吊装已顺利完成。
Underneath the dome is 80,000 cubic meters of space. In the event of an accident, most of the nuclear leakage will be restricted to this massive container. During the installation process, the nuclear reactors will be delivered to the heart of Hualong 1 through this channel. Here, it is equipped with a powerful passive safety system supported by third-generation nuclear power technology. If Hualong 1 completely loses external power, 3 cooling tanks with a capacity of up to 3,000 tons can create a safety period of 72 hours simply by relying on natural force. This has made Hualong 1 one of the most widely used third-generation nuclear reactor designs in the nuclear power market today.
我们5号机组建成发电以后，意味着我们中国自主3代的核电技术可以与国际上核电同台竞技了。
China's progress in the fields of renewable energy, bridge construction, aerospace, electric commerce, transportation, and supercomputing are giving the world a new perception of this ancient country. Innovation will dominate how the future is built, and China is joining the rest of the world in pushing its frontiers.
这个洞是兼做了前面2个洞的共同的作用，对吧？所以它需要在这儿做一个竖井。这个地方做个1%或者0.几的破就可以，水就可以过来了，对吧？哎，那就可以了。
Every month, Wang Yifang flies from Beijing to the construction site in Guangdong. Recently, a leak appeared in one of the shafts. The drainage and salvage work has delayed construction for 15 days.
我们到现场是为了讨论目前遇到的这些问题，在地质上到底有多大的风险，对我们下一步的工作有多大影响。那么我们的整个的实验方案要不要做一些调整？到关键时候他们都撤离了。
Wang Yifang is a leading high-energy physicist in China and is extremely familiar with the project. Currently, he and his team are building a world-leading neutrino experiment station. The neutrino is one of the most basic particles that make up the material world. A neutrino has a tiny mass and can pass through materials freely without being detected, giving it the nickname the Invisible Man of the universe. Unlocking the secrets of the neutrino has always been a dream for scientists. Every breakthrough in this field has been a major event in the history of science. Since 1988, 4 of the Nobel Prizes in physics have been awarded to scientists in the neutrino field. However, our knowledge of this mysterious particle is still extremely limited. Since a nuclear reaction produces a large number of neutrinos, the area near a nuclear power plant are ideal locations for scientists to acquire neutrinos. In order to carry out an effective observation, The neutrino detector is placed in a sealed tank full of ultra-pure water in an underground cave. After more than 1 year's repeated observation using this giant device, Wang Yifang and his colleagues have finally captured some valuable data.
这个5米直径里面装上叶伞，通过这个探测器探测大亚湾反应堆出来的中微子。科学上第一次看到中微子震荡的这样一个模式，测到了西塔 E3，这是这个在科学上极其重要的。
But if you have the deuteron, then you have one reaction that can take place in which an university people.
In 2015, Canadian scientist Arthur B. MacDonald was awarded the Nobel Prize in Physics for his discovery of neutrino oscillations. He is very interested in the Chinese scientist's new discovery. Wang Yifang has even higher expectations for the future.
我们过去在大亚湾的时候，曾经做到世界最好，是当时国际上最好水平的2倍的。现在我们要比我们大亚湾的水平还再要提高2倍的。
Wang Yifang plans to build a spherical detector filled with 20,000 tons of liquid scintillator and 18,000 tons photomultiplier tubes in an experiment hall 700 meters underground. The experiment station will make China the center of the world's neutrino research. Wang also plans to build a world-leading circular particle collider, which is expected to cost roughly 30 billion yuan. It will surpass any Chinese scientific facility ever built in terms of construction difficulty, investment, and scientific value. 本世纪我们知道几个最重要的科学发现，比如说引力波的发现，比如说希克斯粒子的发现，比如说中微子研究的进展等等，都依赖于大长子，取得重大的科学突破。It is essential that China possesses this kind of large-scale scientific facility. However, even in scientific circles, this unprecedented proposal has been met with concern and skepticism.
它的科学上的重大意义跟它的造价相比呢，是不是值得？第二个方面呢，就是这么复杂、这么大的一个装置，我们能不能把它造出来？
These concerns bring home to Wang Yifang the full weight of his responsibility. Over 30 years of professional experience have made him extremely confident.
我们国家发展到这样一个阶段，那我们肯定要有一些科学上世界第一的东西的，应该有这样一个责任在那里。
Wang Yifang firmly believes that all progress in contemporary civilization comes from scientific breakthroughs and radical changes in our perception of the world. The secrets of the future could be unlocked inside these giant scientific facilities. For years, Wang Yifang has been going on business trips alone. Even at the age of 55, he is still as busy as he was in his younger days. This is Zhangjiang High-Tech Park in Pudong, Shanghai. Scientists at this national-level facility are exploring a particularly complex and inaccessible field. Inside this huge circular building, there is a giant synthetic track. On it are moving electrons running at close to the speed of light. At the turning, they release a special synchrotron radiation light along the tangent, which is transmitted to various terminals through various scientific methods and facilities. The brightness of the synchrotron radiation light is 1 billion times greater than that of a conventional X-ray, and is like a microscope cluster with an ultra-high resolution. Under this light, the structure of organisms, cells, and even materials can be revealed in all their detail.
亮了之后，它就可以看得更清楚微观世界的一些结构。我们知道，更高的亮度就可以照亮更微小的世界，就是大约是1/10个头发丝这么一个尺度。
Based on observations of the microscopic world presented by the Shanghai Synchrotron Radiation Facility, scientists have discovered the envelope protein structure of the avian influenza virus. This has allowed them to learn about its infection mechanism. They have also determined the exact structure and components of PM2.5, providing reliable data for controlling smog. They can even clearly see the exact distribution of the various nutrients in a grain of rice. He Jianhua participated in the design and construction of the Shanghai Synchrotron Radiation Facility and is now its manager. In the open experiment hall, the synchrotron radiation light is transmitted to a dozen experiment stations that operate around the clock. Every day, dozens of Chinese and foreign scientists from different fields use the synchrotron radiation light at all hours of the day. A mechanical arm is used to capture a synaptic protein crystal of the human brain. The crystal is only several dozen microns in diameter and is placed in a light beam with a similar size. Through this test, Professor Zhang Mingjie and his team hope to open up a new path in their research.
比如说孤独症、压抑症是怎么引起的？为什么某些基因的突变会引起这样的疾病？那我们最终的目标，希望我们的研究能够对我们大脑有更好的了解，能够帮助我们去找到办法来治一些大脑的疾病。
The Shanghai Synchrotron Radiation Facility has already given a great boost to China's research in basic sciences. This top-level experiment platform can also help many disciplines in the country take the lead globally.
上个世纪50年代，解一个结构是一个科学家要花多少年的时间？10年甚至更长。那么同步辐射应用成熟之后，这样一个结构解析的时间，可以用这个天或者用月来衡量。
我们实验室最漂亮的晶体，那晶体的形状真的像好漂亮、好漂亮的那个钻石一样。这个蛋白就刚刚好跟我们脑细胞、钙细胞怎么生出一个神经细胞有关的一个蛋白。我们是在这里说完以后，好漂亮的数据，好激动。
Zhang Mingjie is very satisfied with today's test. His team have become regular visitors to the Shanghai Synchrotron Radiation Facility. Previously, he had to fly to the US or Japan for his experiments. The next plan for the Shanghai Synchrotron Radiation Facility is to build another 16 high-performance stations and to provide nearly 100 advanced experimental methods. The future for scientific research here is bright. Large-scale scientific facilities and high-end laboratories carry the dreams of the future and represent a nation's highest innovative achievements. These innovations require patience and persistence. For another group of people, the problem is a more pressing one. Innovate or die. For young people today, the idea of developing photos in a darkroom sounds like an ancient practice, even though it only went out of fashion about a decade ago. Lucky Group has finally decided to move its only existing darkroom and equipment into a museum. 20 years ago, the company had dozens of darkrooms. Over the past few decades, new technologies have created new opportunities for late developing countries like China. However, new inventions have replaced old ones at a stunning speed. Digital photography is one of the best examples of this. Almost overnight, it swept away the film camera market, and a tradition of over 100 years suddenly disappeared.
美国伊士曼柯达公司今天宣布，公司及美国子公司已在纽约申请破产保护，以争取度过流动。
Shocked by the experience of a former industry leader like Kodak, Chinese enterprises took steps to avert a similar disaster. In 1988, when he was 22, Wang Hui began working in the industry. China had just become the fourth country in the world capable of producing color film.
"感觉特别光荣和自豪。1990年在咱们北京开亚运会，我是扛着一箱的胶卷到人民日报、新华社试用我们的乐凯胶卷。事实证明啊，冲洗出来的这些照片效果非常好。"
But the crisis came faster than anyone expected. As the 21st century began, film had been completely defeated by the new technology before it could even put up a fight, and the industry went into freefall. In 2005, Lucky Group sold 11.72 million rolls of film. The next year, it only sold 7.61 million. In 2012, the company was forced to cut the last color film production line.
经历了彷徨，内心啊也有好多的这种想法不舍，但是没有办法啊，我们也要面对这个现实吧。
Wang Hui and his colleagues knew they had to make drastic changes. This was the only way to keep the jobs of over 10,000 workers and save this national brand they had fought so hard to build. But what direction would this transformation take?
数码相机，包括 MP3 数码产业的这个转型，从现在来看是不成功的。为什么不成功？数码相机它的核心技术是什么？是电子，是半导体。 我们乐凯几十年没有在这个专业里面形成我们的核心技术，没有人才储备。
Now, Wang Hui and his research and development team provide technical support for Lucky Group's factory in Hefei. Although it may not seem to be the case, Wang Hui insists that all their products and core technologies are closely related to film. 10 years ago, Wang Hui and nearly 100 senior workers came to Hefei to start a new enterprise. That year, the headquarters of Lucky Group made a decision to focus on developing products that conformed with the group's core technologies.
几年的探索啊，我们越来越感觉到呢，偏离于我们核心技术的这些个探索，我们不掌握核心技术，不是我们的强项，在转型的过程当中呢，遇到的困难就大。
The core technologies Wang Hui is referring to are micronized particle technology, film technique, and coating technology. Using these technologies, the first optical polyester film production line in China was built. This film is a key material for producing flat panel displays.
我们的一个扩散膜的产品上市，竞品，啊，都是国外的，一下子价格降下来40%，也给咱们广大的消费者带来了实惠。
At the peak of the film era, Lucky Group's highest annual sales figure was 2 billion yuan. In 2017, when many people thought Lucky Group had already disappeared, it was 6 billion yuan. From flat panel displays and color photographic paper to digital printing and medical film, Lucky Group is no longer the company people thought it was. But this only came after decades of accumulating knowledge and unceasing innovation. When a door is closed, a window opens. But only if you have the courage to leave your familiar surroundings and set off on a new journey. In our world, misunderstandings and conflicts caused by the language barrier occur every day. The time and effort needed to master a foreign language discourages most people from learning one. Is there a convenient and reliable way to overcome this barrier? Technological innovations have brought new opportunities.
What are you doing? Red phoenix, pink phoenix, pink phoenix, flower phoenix.
In July 2017, this video went viral on the internet.
What are you doing?
It's very difficult to talk to them.
与他们交谈是非常困难的。
What is the most famous food?
你知道什么是最有名的食物？
什么菜啊？
This is a recently released translation device.
Do you know how I can get there?
Test results have proven very satisfactory. If standard pronunciation is used and the content is not too complicated, then it can perform surprisingly well with an accuracy of at least 90%. Two months after its release, online sales of this incredible invention exceeded 60,000 units. But the developers were still far from satisfied.
考虑一下它以后的这个更新的时间，还有更新失败的问题，和一些这个简单的支付系统。
They are well aware of the weakness of their product. This smart translating device is not really intelligent because it has not learned to think yet.
就像《射雕英雄传》上的郭靖，他不够聪明，但是他无比的勤奋和努力。他一天到晚都是在抓更多的数据过来，天天在学习嘛。其实有一些问题呢，可能对小学生来讲都觉得很简单。他回去以后看到父母亲今天心情不好，他讲话的时候，他有可能也会察言观色。那机器对这个东西完全就不行。
Accumulating data and carrying out rapid calculations is already an impressive achievement. In fact, even AlphaGo, which has beaten all the Go masters in the world, is only capable of calculating and not thinking. Building an intelligent and observant machine and making a computer that behaves like the human brain are endeavors that have focused the minds of the world's top scientists. The Chinese people have also decided to take on this new challenge. iFlyTech's Research Institute is a massive and very special department. It has over 300 workers, but there are no set office hours, and it is not required to generate profits. But it is the department the company values the most, as it holds its future in its hands.
做这么久，你应该很清楚地认识到，这个油门是有问题的。你给它断掉有什么好处？全部要断掉，必须断掉，因为不断掉你根本就解。
35-year-old Wei Si sits behind his younger colleagues so that he can communicate with them more easily. After the brainstorming, discussions and even arguments can take place anytime and anywhere. This group of about 30 people is called the Superbrain Team, and Wei Si is its soul. They are focusing on the cutting edge of human science and technology, artificial intelligence. Their goal is to enable the translating device to speak intelligently.
你懂的，怎么去理解你懂的？它一定是需要后面一大堆的东西才能理解。所以我们要去理解语言，绝不能从字面去理解，它需要有很多的积累跟知识，需要一个人的整个人生的经历，需要你对外面的很多的信息融合进来。
Unlike most people born in the 1980s, Wei Si is not a computer addict and prefers to write things down on paper. Though these look like nothing more than scribbles, they have given him a great deal of inspiration. Since the approach that is currently being adopted has not enabled the machine to think and judge, Wei Si believes they have to find another way to make a breakthrough.
他们用来解决问题的方法都是非主流，后来都是天马行空的。我们这个组一定要做一些跟其他人不一样的。
Wei Si still hasn't come up with a solution. But he isn't worried, because he understands clearly that most of the time, innovating means failing.
因为做这种没有人触碰的事情，肯定会有很多失败。你首先是要找到一个好方向，就比较困难，然后在一个好方向找到一个解决方案就更困难。所以为什么它的失败是常态，就这个原因。
Weise is not afraid of failure, and neither is iFlyTek. In 2017, they invested 400 million yuan in research and development, no small number for a company that isn't very profitable. But they believe the money they have invested in the future will not go to waste. And they believe that even if they end up with only one success, their name will go down in the annals of science and technology.
打开加湿器。好的，已将您的加湿器打开，操作成功。已将您的窗帘。
Recently, a well-respected magazine in the US rated the 50 smartest companies around the globe. 8 Chinese companies made that list, and iFlyTek was top of those 8. But that accolade doesn't mean Weise has any plans to slow down. If they want to be worthy of the smartest company title, they must get ahead of the field, and more importantly, think ahead of the curve. The last few decades have seen scientific and technological revolutions sweep the globe with unimaginable speed. These massive changes are radically changing the way human beings live. For China, it is an exciting opportunity in history. The revolution offers the nation a chance to make up for missing out on the Industrial Revolution centuries ago. When an era of change comes, only innovations can endure.
这样的思维方式不是我们习惯的思维方式，技术的这种革命不断的带来新的这种可能性。
未来所有的制造业都将会成为互联网和大数据的重灾区。
The International Big Data Expo has been held in Guiyang 3 times. This provincial capital in West China is gradually gaining renown in the internet era thanks to a number of geographical factors. This place has no closed gates or thick thermal insulating walls. You don't hear any noise from a cooling tower or air conditioner, but it is home to 6,000 servers placed in 12 containers. This special data center is built on a pass between 2 hills.
风会特别的强，对准了季风的方向。现在外面的温度呢，有可能到达27度，但是在这个隧道里面呢，基本上是在20度以下。
The heat produced by the servers is vented through heat emission holes at the top. Physical cooling measures are unnecessary, as the room itself is a natural air conditioner.
一般来说，全世界要做环保节能的数据中心，通常是落在高纬度的地区。所以说，这个是我们在低纬度地区建设一个完全没有空调的数据中心，的确是一个挑战。
Engineers took great pains in selecting the site, as it wasn't enough to just have a green tunnel without any air conditioners. Guizhou has special advantages, such as high altitude, low temperatures, low electricity costs, and being away from seismic belts, making it an ideal site for storing big data. Global high-tech enterprises such as Tencent, Huawei, Microsoft have all decided to build their own data centers here. No one yet knows the scale of big data's power, but people are already calling it the petroleum of the future. Guiyang hopes to join the leading groups of the era and turn itself into China's big data capital. Massive changes are already taking place in this ancient city. On the east bank of the Pearl River estuary stands a city that was born just 38 years ago. Shenzhen was the result of the reform and opening up policy and quickly became the symbol of Made in China. Now it is one of the most innovative cities in China. People who live here have witnessed many great changes over the past few decades. "24 years ago, when Wu Yongmo left his hometown and came to Shenzhen, he was a 16-year-old village boy. After working as a production line worker in a Japanese company for 4 years, he had a dream.
我只有19、20岁创业，当时定了一个目标，想要做1个亿的生意。
His business started with this piece of second-hand equipment, which cost him just over 20,000 yuan and was used to produce mobile phone covers. After 7 years, Wu Yongmo more than achieved his first goal. At one point, Wu Yongmo's factory ranked in the top 3 in China's handset manufacturing industry. Many legendary startup stories, just like Wu's, have turned the city into what it is. But the global financial crisis of 2008 brought an abrupt end to the business dreams of many people.
把下面的4个厂结束掉，就是关掉。 因为有些同事跟了你很多年，跟了你很久，你要选择让他离开，其实作为我来说，当时我都掉了好几次眼泪了。
Shenzhen was in crisis. Its export-oriented economy suffered heavy losses. The glory of the traditional manufacturing industry faded rapidly. But hidden opportunities still existed. Shenzhen picked itself up by building a series of high-tech industries. Wu Yongmo's life has always been tied up with the fate of the city. After he gave up on handset manufacturing, he decided to follow a new path: intelligent robots. With 15,000 sides and 60,000 curves, the 24th intelligent robot model is about to come onto the market, and Wu Yongmo wants everything to be perfect.
我的要求就是明年6月份之前，一定要做到能抓可乐。
His team have been working on this project for 3 years, receiving hundreds of millions of yuan in investment. But this is nothing unusual in Shenzhen. Over the past few years, the proportion of Shenzhen's gross domestic product spent on research and development has been twice the national average.
产能、储能无极限，能量物质转换无极限。无极限的时候，农业问题不是全部解决了。
Although he is over 60 years old, Wang Jian is passionate.
因为我们要引领发展。
This is the Beijing Genomics Institute, or BGI, a frontline organization that specializes in biological sciences. It was founded in 2007 by Wang Jian and his team in Shenzhen. The Shenzhen government promised to support them with an annual research fund of 20 million yuan for 3 years. But even after that period expired, the support continued. In 2010, with the government's help, BGI purchased 128 of the most advanced DNA sequencers of the time, making it the largest DNA sequencing organization in the world. But 2 years later, overseas companies began setting up barriers. They stopped providing follow-up repair services and selling new equipment to China. In 2013, BGI purchased a DNA sequencing company abroad. But the standards of the equipment was far below the advanced level they were used to.
我们是希望把光学的反应系统做得尽可能的小，同时还要尽可能的集成。
For 4 years, Liu Jian and his team have been stuck over one problem: how to reduce the size of a sequencer, which weighs several tons and can only be placed on the first floor of a building, into a desktop device the size of a printer.
这些设计和开发都是在一步一步的更加的简约化、更加的集中化，以及比如说一些偏远的山区，让更多的人能够有机会接触到基因科技。我们一直觉得最大的挑战就是和时间赛跑。
In 2016, the first batch of domestic sequencers was made in BGI's workshop. Its technical level reached international standards.
我们年轻的时候叫扛洋枪，走人家走过的路，打人家林子剩下的鸟，叫填补空白。那今天华大叫什么？是一个处于完全属于全球竞争的状态。
When innovations becomes the city's driving force, opportunities will constantly arise, and industry will constantly transform and upgrade itself. The thinnest flexible color display in the world, with a thickness of only 1/100th of a millimeter. Electric vehicles that pass through 200 cities around the world. Constantly upgraded civilian UAVs. And the first AI chip for mobile phones in the world. Endless innovations have revitalized this city and have also encouraged more people to march bravely into the future. In 2017, 28 high-tech enterprises in Shenzhen were listed on the Shenzhen Stock Exchange. The number of Shenzhen enterprises listed as small and medium-sized enterprises have led the country for 11 consecutive years.
所以为什么你看现在这么多人，海归包括境外的一些专家都来中国创业？你们看看深圳创新创业的氛围，那在全球任何一个地方，我想都很难看得到的。所以这就是中国经济发展的动力。
Shenzhen's unique potential for growth lies in its youth as a city. The opportunities and difficulties it has encountered in the past 40 years have given people the belief in its ability to constantly improve and innovate. In many ways, the city's development path is like a microcosm of what China has been through in the past 40 years. In 1978, China's GDP made up less than 2% of the world's total, and we barely had our own high-end technology. In 2016, China's GDP made up nearly 15% of the world's, and the country's comprehensive innovation ability ranked 18th in the world. By 2020, China will complete the construction of a moderately prosperous society and become a genuinely innovative country. This is a dream which requires all our wisdom and effort to realize. Whether it's a person, a team, an enterprise, or a city, all efforts are geared toward creating a common future. Every effort is precious, and every innovation is important.